What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we definitely have a longer tutorial just because I wanted to show you guys more in depth how I'm doing this longer scissor haircut. Today we're going to do a mullet. It's a very long mullet on the back and shorter on the top, and we're going to do it like a taper on the sides to make it a mullet. At first the client came in and asked for a 3, but I recommended that we go to skin just so that you can see more of a transition between the long hair and the short hair. And so the same thing as we always do, we're going to go ahead and start by sectioning the hair out and saturating it so that it's all wet. Making sure to separate the sides from the top completely. And with his hair, we're going to have to brush it out a lot. We're going to have to spray it a lot. Put some hair tonic in it so that it's easier to section. And he's pretty much just going to have the long straight hair in the back, and then the top is just going to be kind of to the side and to the back. So right here we're sectioning it right at the parietal ridge. We're going to do that on both sides, and then we're just going to start off with the sides and the back before we get into the top. The top is pretty much the last thing I do, the last scissor work that I do, and then I do the clipper work, obviously. Now you see how the top is sectioned off completely, and now at the bottom we're going to take about 3 inches off the bottom and just set our base for the whole haircut from the sides all the way to the back. And since he wants to keep a lot of the length on the back, there's kind of going to be a disconnect between the sides and the back, but it's going to be where you can't really see the disconnect. And I know it's really hard to see, but right here I'm just basically taking 3 inches all the way around off the back. And then we're going to go ahead and put our base for the sides where we would take our 3 guard up to for the taper. And kind of like diagonally do that. And now since the base is pretty much completed, we're going to go ahead and take our guide for the top. We're going to go ahead and pull out both the bottom and the top where the occipital bone is and see what kind of shape we're going to create. And right here we're creating somewhat of a square shape so that the mullet can look nice and full in the back still, but not have too much weight to it. And so we're pulling that straight out of the head and just cutting a good amount off of that too. About 3 inches, about the same, so it can be square, but have some layers to it. And we're going to stop right about the ear area just because of that disconnect right there. Some more modern mullets won't have a disconnection like that, but longer old school mullets that's very long in the back like this is going to have a disconnect unless you're going to cut a lot of it off the back. And so just like the base layer, we're going to take the guide layer and cut that all the way around, doing the same thing. And so for the taper part of the mullet, the base and the guides are going to be the same thing because that's going to be the shortest we go and the longest we go for the taper. But from ear to ear, we're going to do a guide all the way around and then connect the guide to the base. just like I said earlier, we're sectioning out little strips and comb width strips in the back, just so that we can connect our guide to the base. Making sure to pull it straight out of the head so that we're taking a good amount of weight off and not pulling it down and over directing. I hope you guys are getting some value and some tips and stuff out of this video. And so right here, we're just kind of checking the back to make sure that each side is the same length all the way around. And this is what I was talking about too, as the disconnect. This is where the disconnect really is in the haircut. So I section off the back that we don't want to cut too short, and section off that part. And then we just kind of gradually made it shorter towards the taper area so that we didn't have to do too much clipper over comb or anything like that. And now since he's gonna do a comb over like pushback look, we're gonna go ahead and section out the top, starting to push most of the hair the opposite direction that he's gonna comb it over, and then cutting the other side just to make sure it's connects to the comb to the sides. So this will be this side will be a little longer than that other side because we want it to connect the other side to the sides and everything, the other side of the top. now that we have the top done, we're gonna go ahead and kind of connect the sides and the top a little bit better, and we're gonna do diagonal sections backwards so that we can connect the short part on the side to the long part on the top. And because he's wearing his hair, a comb over and pushback is pretty much everything is gonna go backwards, so that the flow is nice and all going in the same direction. We're not cutting in the opposite directions. Then before we're getting into the clip work, we're gonna go ahead and add some product and dry most of his hair off right here. And then at the end, I'm gonna go dry it completely off. But we didn't want it to be soaking wet while we're doing the clipper work. And see, we're combing and blow drying in the direction the hair wants to go to, and the way he wants to style it, so that it's easier for him, and that it lays like we cut it. Now right here with the taper area, we're just going to brush the hair down a little bit. We're going to start with a 3 open and then a 3 close, just to kind of clean the canvas where we want to fade. And this is what he wanted to keep it at first, just a 3. And I was just kind of told him my professional opinion that it should be a taper, just so that it can have more contrast. And it looks nicer. It looks a little more modern, even though it's a longer mullet in the back. And then we go ahead and put our ball line in and clean up around the ears and clean the C-cup up just a little bit. This is just a rough draft of the lining up, but we're gonna do it so we have an easier view of what we're gonna taper. And then just like all our fades, we're gonna start with the clipper all the way open, no guard, and then casually work that down until that section is done, and then the 1 guard open and then the 1 guard closed, and then the half guard halfway open, and just casually keep working down our guards until we get to where there's no lines. And now as we worked our guards down, you can kind of see how nice that taper is starting to come out. We're going to kind of clean the hair up a little bit off the ears, making sure to go the trimmer to go backwards so that we're not cutting all the flow off. And then, like I said earlier, we're going to dry all the hair off completely just so we can make sure there's no imperfections in the haircut. It does take a couple minutes longer, but it's worth it at the end of the day, because the haircut is going to come in nice. They're going to know you didn't rush through their haircut, and they're going to see the complete vision whenever they leave the chair. Look how nice that the blend is into the longer hair. The sides, even though it's disconnected, looks connected to the back of the hair. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I really appreciate you guys watching. He loved the haircut. He left me a good review. He even messaged me later in the day and saying that he really appreciates me cutting his hair good and doing exactly what he wanted, and giving me his advice as well, or my advice to do it the skin taper instead of a 3. Hope you guys got some value. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.